Let's learn how to make a face vase. To start out with, you'll need your Moxie mat, 2 cups, and white clay. Be careful when you're opening up the clay bag. You will need to use it again. So open it carefully, don't rip it. Notice how I'm pulling the clay apart. By doing this, I'm activating the clay and getting it ready for us to work. Now I'm going to roll it into a sphere. You can use the mat or between your 2 hands to create a nice sphere. Place that right in the center and smoosh it down like a pancake. We're going to use our Moxie mat to cover it and press down. Cover it and press down. We need to have our clay right in the middle of this color wheel because we're trying to make this pancake as big as the inside circle on the color wheel. Are we there yet? Let's check it out. Pretty close. I just have a little bit more that I have to do right down here. Let's press that down. Okay, let's see if that fills up the whole circle now. It sure does. We're ready to move on using one of the cups. Carefully pull our slab or pancake off from the Moxie mat. We're going to place the cup directly in the center of that pancake. Take a look. Here's the cup. It sits right in the center of the slab of clay. Now we're going to carefully and gently press it around the cup. Notice I'm doing a little bit at a time. It was kind of wrinkly to begin with, but using my hands and being very patient allows me to add the white clay all the way around. Now what I don't want is clay going over the top of this cup. So I'm going to pull that away. You can use your clay tools or your hands for this. The reason this is so important is because we have grass that is already planted. We're going to put that grass cup right inside, just like that. So you can't have a lot of clay going over the edges. All right, I have it pretty smooth along the whole side, but you might experience a little bit of an air bubble happening. If that happens to you, poke a little hole in the bottom and that should release the air. Okay. You're going to repeat this whole thing with the other cup. When both are done, you're going to place them bottom to bottom like this. And then you're going to take your fingers on the inside of each of the cups and press them together. Now, this does not have to be super hard, but you do want to secure the 2 cups together. Now we have to let it dry. Now for the fun part, we get to add the colored clay. There is a little tab on these clay pieces that when you pull it out, you can rip right on that zigzag line, on that zigzag end, and it opens up really nice and easy. So open the color that you're going to use for the background of your character. We're going to have some fun mixing some colors. So we're going to take that main color and we're going to divide it into 3 parts. So we're going to put one on number 4, 3, and 2. So the middle 3 boxes that we have. Now with a portion of our white clay, we'll set that at the top. You can see I have a lot of white clay and just a little bit of black that I'm going to put on the bottom number, the number 5. Now for the fun part, we're going to make a tint first. A tint is when you take a color and you add white to it. It becomes lighter. So we're going to take our number 1, our white clay, and our number 2, and we are going to mix those 2 together. So we're doing that pulling apart, the activating the clay, and we are taking the 2 and mixing them together. Now this is going to take some time, but it's so fun to watch the color change. Okay, we'll set that back at the top. This middle one, number 3, we're going to leave just the way it is. But our lower 2, our number 4 and 5, we are going to mix together too. This will make a shade. When you take black and add it to a color, it creates something called a shade, which means a darker version of the original color. Again, you're going to mix them together, but you would have noticed I used a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of black. Black is a really strong color, so you don't add as much as you do when you're making the white. The purple tint is the one that I'm going to use for the background color of my character. It's a lot of clay, so it's going to be perfect to make the background color. I'm going to take that color and smoosh it onto my white base. What I'm doing is filling this entire white base with this coating, this almost frosting looking clay that I'm putting all over the outside of my container. Now, the dry clay is allowing this to really adhere easily and hold its shape and form. I had that in time lapse, but in reality, I took my time with this. I smeared that clay all over, and then I took the time to make it nice and smooth. I might want to give this a little time to dry, but in the meanwhile, I'm going to plan exactly what I'm doing for my project. So this is a good time to go into your Moxie manual, draw your idea. This was the idea that I came up with. I want to do a cute little woodland animal. I'm putting this in time lapse so that you can see that I worked on this pretty hard, but you're going to make your own individual, unique animal. And so you don't need to learn how to make my animal. You're going to make your own. Basically, what you're seeing here is me adding all the details. Check your animal. Did you add the eyes, nose, mouth? Can you see the ears on your animal? These are the things you want to make sure that you have done, because sometimes when we're making art, we forget little things like that. So I added everything that I thought I was going to need on my cute little deer, and there it is. Oh, I am so happy with it so far, but I think I'm going to add just a little bit more. What I've done is added texture. I used my clay tool to add just a little bit of texture on the fur. I made little tiny lines pressing into the clay. I also added a little bit of white fur on its belly. I'm going to add some spots on its back and, of course, a little tail. I'm going to make some antlers, and for this, I need my toothpicks. When my grass is all grown and I've placed it inside my face vase, I can use the toothpicks to put into the soil, and that I can make so many different things with. Here you see me working on antlers. I'm making 2 of them, and then I'm also going to create a little cute flower that this animal can put in its hair. Or grass in our case. Now we get to make a friend for our face vase. I'm going to use that tall glass that we have in our Moxie kit, and I'm going to cover it with white clay. I'll set it aside to dry and then add some of my details. Now the white clay is completely dry and I get to add the details to it. This is always the most fun for me. In this case, I'm going to make something look like wood. I'm trying to make this look like a stump that a little frog is sitting on. So what I'm going to do is use some of those skills I learned earlier to make my tints and my shades, and I'm going to combine all of those colors to make wood, or something that kind of appears like wood. So I'm playing around. I don't really know how to do this, but I'm just playing around and experimenting. That is one of the best things with this MoxieBox kit. You have plenty of clay to experiment with. So far I have a wooden stump, and that's not a great friend for a face vase. So I'm going to go ahead and make a cute little frog to sit on top of this log. I'll add some flowers and grass to complete it. After everything is dry, I'm going to go ahead and add those antlers and flowers into the grass. I'm going to place these next to each other and celebrate my hard work.